Hi, I'm Alex from the Southern Ukulele Store. A few weeks ago, I featured some K3 ukuleles for the last time, and we talked about the end of an era for Kanile'a. In their 25th year, the Platinum just kept getting more and more kind of into that stratosphere of concept instruments. It was like the ultimate concept car, that kind of McLaren F1 kind of pushing things forward so that the production line instruments would improve with it. And the 25th year of Kanile'a felt like a massive year, but there's been a very slow transition into what the next thing for them is going to be for, I'd say, about 4 years. It's not a new thing. It's something that dealers like ourselves have kind of felt coming. They've done the OHA line and they've tinkered with the core models quite a bit. But what they've done, I would say, in the last 12 months is radically change the final feel of a brand new instrument. So Kanile'as, to me, as a Kanile'a player, someone who's been playing them for 10 years now, they always felt quite stiff. They had a stiffness out the box, and I always put it down to the UV cured finish. And what I've noticed, and I've communicated back to Kanile'a in the last 12 months, is that they've been getting lighter and more resonant, fluffier. They're starting to feel lived in from new, but they still have that glass-like look to them and that approach. And I make no secret that I love Kanile'a ukuleles. I love the Hawaiian K brands, but there's something about the magic of Kanile'a and how they move things forward that, for me as a player, has always excited me. And I loved these ukuleles that we're going to feature today so much when they turned up that I went home and played my own Kanile'a, and I felt, wow, there's some real progression happening here in the last 4 or 5 years. So we're going to talk about 3 new models today. We're going to feature 4 ukuleles, 3 new models. And really, these are the punctuation marks, the full stops, the exclamation marks on Kanile'a as they enter their 26th year. And you really feel that they're going in a direction that they're excited about, and we are too. Let's talk about the KTRT, the Kanile'a True Relief Tenor. This is the direct result of Kanile'a's Platinum model being refined and honed and then made into more affordable Kanile'a models. More affordable in the sense that this is still very much a custom shop instrument. Even if the things that you get off the peg from Kanile'a, they're still made in Hawaii. They're still a premium ukulele, and it's unmistakably a premium ukulele. Just look at this head on, the koa on this premium model, and also we do have a master grade model as well. Just if you ever wanted to see the difference between premium and master grade, you have it right here, the back of these two as well. So much drama in this master grade model. In fact, it looks so good on camera. Let's talk about this one. The KTRT, this True Relief model, is featuring all of the innovations Kanile'a have made in the last few years. On the surface, it looks quite normal, very sexy, but normal and conventional. But actually, it's under the top where Kanile'as are kind of finding their innovation the most. So we'll talk about that first. You have the tru-r bracing, which is not a new thing. It's this scaffolding bracing in its latest series. You have the true reduction, which is a honeycomb-like system going under the top to actually reduce the weight and stiffness of these ukuleles. This is the thing that I think is making these top-end Kanile'as feel so different out the box. They have nothing to them. They weigh a few grams in your hand, but the way they resonate and the way the sound carries across, it's like the very top 1% of luthier-built instruments. So they know what they're doing. They're very good at it. And included in the True Relief now is this body contouring. It's hard to put across from this angle. I'll try and get you a better angle. But Kanile'a themselves, they have swooped the edge of the body down. They have reduced the depth of the ukulele in the bottom corner of the instrument, so that when you sit, your arm goes to the right position. Obviously, for me as a lefty, I'm a terrible person to showcase this, but trust me, if you can. So you have this swoop here going down from the bridge to the edge. It's the modern version of that kind of chamfered edge that people have been doing for years, but with Kanile'a, there's an entirely new bracing system incorporated to make this work. You have an ebony fingerboard and bridge, obviously master grade koa, and then you have this gorgeous Kironite rosette, which is It's like mother of pearl with bits of black dyed into it, but actually it's an acrylic material used for things like knife handles. It's used in bespoke crafts, like high-end crafts. And Kanile'a have used that actually for these diamond position markers, which is a nice new feature. And these are all things that you felt were beyond a production Kanile'a at some point recently. This is something that was in the Platinum a year ago. These diamond position markers are unique, going up to the new Phoenix headstock, which is the newest version of Kanile'a's slotted headstock. It's still super thin with these Goto stealth tuners, really lightweight, almost watch-like. It's like the clockworks of a watch, the inner workings of a watch on these tuners. They're so small and dainty and precise. It gets a bit lost in the shuffle as well, but this instrument has front binding too, which you could almost miss because everything else on it is so striking. It's a UV gloss finish, a high gloss finish, but it's glass-like, it's thin, it's cured very fast with a UV light, and then you have the silk neck, so the neck feels played in from new. I didn't know this model was coming. It's definitely the natural progression away from the KSRT. The KSRT 5 years ago was a very innovative model, and it's nice to see Kanile'a take the KSRT and then use everything they've learned on the last 3 or 4 platinum models to make this model. Let's give the KTRT Premium and the KTRT Master a play and see what you think. Wow, the sustain on that is haunting. Haunting. Let's take a look at the Kanile'a Pohaku tenor. Now, the Pohaku is named after the lava stones of Hawaii. This is the stone model. If you imagine, this would be the Kanile'a stone model. It's a quilted maple, sometimes flame maple, but in this case, a quilted maple stained a translucent black. It's the first time Kanile'a have made a production maple ukulele. It's the first time they've made a production ukulele out of anything other than koa. Obviously, we had the Pohaku Series a few years back, and they've made one-offs and small series exclusively. But this is the first time they've really run with something that has taken everything they've learned, which seems to be the theme of this video. Now, I think Kanile'a started working on this ukulele as far back as maybe 2020, maybe 2021. It's something that they've been talking about doing for a long time. They make lots of custom shop ukuleles for people, and people request these stain finishes. And I know it's something that Kanile'a, who is the youngest son of Joe Souza, head luthier Kanile'a, the owner of Kanile'a, I know it's something that he's always been passionate about since his first ukuleles came through. He's a big fan of PRS guitars, and you'll know that maple and stains and PRS, that's all something that, you know, could inspire this next generation of luthiers on the ukulele. It's why maybe we see things like the Flight A10. I know for a fact that Primo's at Flight is a big fan of these kind of pointy headstock rock. Am I doing it the right way? That's how rock I am. Rock guitars, and you can see these companies start to take inspiration from that on the ukulele. And I'm delighted that Kanile'a have decided to do this, because so many people want that custom feel, those dark stains. This reminds me very much of an Owlcraft ukulele we had a few years ago. It's just beautiful. There are a few subtle cosmetic appointments. It has a black rosette, which is hard to spot here, but it's there. It has black front binding. You have a side sound port, which is very, very important because the voicing of maple is different to koa. It's interesting when you see it written down, because people will say koa is bright. I found when I was looking to kind of write the description of this, I was like, well, this ukulele doesn't really sound like a typical maple ukulele. And I think it's the utilization of the lighter bracing that Kanile'a do, you know, the work they do behind the top to make these ukuleles vibrate. The voicing is still sweet, it's still mellow like koa, but it has a bit more of a throatiness to it. You know, the C and the G string, particularly if you play low G, has a bit more oomph to it than with koa. It compresses, but it doesn't over compress. With koa, if you play very, very hard, what you get is this kind of clip, like the note will reach its peak very quickly and then level out. You don't get that so much with maple, and I think that's what makes this sound very different to the other Kanile'as that we have had in the shop previously. In fact, I was talking about stain things. Right behind us there is the Nui Nui whale. It's something that's bleeding into the kind of higher end ukuleles and being done in a great way by a lot of people. You have this UV gloss finish with the satin neck. You have poplar dyed red dots, which are subtle, but on the side they look gorgeous. I'll try and get you a good close-up of them. You have a conventional headstock with a dyed poplar Kanile'a logo. You have the reliable, trusty and true Kanile'a geared tuners. And I think this ukulele is just bloody fantastic. Let's give the Pohaku a play and see what you think. Finally today, let's take a look at the Ilikai. The Ilikai is the sister model for the Pohaku ukulele. You'll see lots of people photograph them together because they contrast and attract perfectly. But this ukulele, meaning horizon, you can see the sand going up to the sky or the ocean, however you want to look at it. The fade is stunning. You can tell something is Marmite though by the response. When I posted something on social media about this when it arrived, I had just spent an entire half an hour, I would say, just looking at this ukulele and going, this is, I think, my favourite Kanile'a I've ever played. I know that's so bold, and I say I fall in love too easily, that's my problem, but when I was sat listing it, of the ones that came in, I went, this is the one that I really bonded with this ukulele. When I was writing the listing, I thought, wow. It just does something visually for me. I like bold and bright colours. I like that kind of thing. It makes me happy to look at it. But the first comment on social media was, oh no, Kanile'a, what have you done? So I think everybody has a different opinion on these things. But if you were after something from the custom shop, Kanile'a made a very similar ukulele to this a few years ago, and it sold for, I think, north of $6,000. So the Kanile'a have been working on these stains for a long time, and for them to be able to make a production ukulele with this stain is just a great step forward. This one is flamed maple. You can see from the more straight horizontal grain pattern how that affects the sound. I can't really tell you from one to the next. We've looked at the Flight A10s in the past, flamed and quilted maple. I think they often sound very similar. Perhaps the flame maple, the straighter grain ones, are slightly louder in my experience. Certainly this ukulele is very loud, very big sounding. You have obviously Kanile'a underneath the top, as we've discussed on the other ukes today. You've got that tru-r bracing. They've really worked to reduce the weight of this ukulele. You have a side sound port, front binding, and a front black rosette. You have really lovely stained teal poplar dots going up to a teal Kanile'a logo. I like to think that that was a direct descendant of the Monaco ukuleles where we did these dots in those colours. You have the satin neck, and you have one very, very excited, happy Alex Beds who wants to play this for you now. So I'm going to give you a sound sample of the Ilikai and see what you think. There you go, folks. What did you think of Kanile'a's new offerings for 2024? Please do let us know in the comments section what you think. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, you can contact us in store 01202 430820, alex@ukulele.co.uk. And finally, please note that all of the links for these ukuleles are in the description. I'll be back very, very soon with something exciting and new, but for now, Kanile'a are just knocking it out of the park with these new models.